Welcome all. This is Gate 40 for the Human Design Sun Transit for August 28th, 29th to September 2nd. This is the second Virgo gate after the 59, and this is Gate 40, which in the I Ching is Deliverance. I subtitled it Flow or Force in the Heart of Divine Will. And here, what I'm going to go over is these last days here of August before we arrive in September, and quick summary of the transits as they're occurring, not just the sun, but the others. We have, probably look at what we have. We have the sun having gone just into Virgo about 5 days out from the new moon, which was in Virgo 0 degrees. And this 0 degree Virgo new moon is a cycle which began around the new moon, 23rd, 24th of August. And we'll go to March, to the March full moon. It's also part of a larger cycle that started in 2023. And yet now with the coming retrogrades back into Pisces, the Aries vortex moves backwards in time towards Pisces, both Neptune and Saturn. And in this case, what we're doing right now is we're revisiting the past and we're reassessing the direction we're moving in. We've been moving in a particular direction, working on our new manifestations of our own Aries vortex in whatever part of whatever gate the human design is. Well, it's in 25. So it's in 25 for everybody. But some of you may have it defined, some of you may not. And what it is in this case is we have all the leaps and jumps and movements that we've made forward since March are coming under the microscope to reassess, reset, and observe to see if this is the direction we really want to go. So a lot of energies are actually pausing, even though it's a new moon. What we're doing is with all the retrograde planets occurring, Saturn's going to go retrograde in a couple days, and I didn't have a chance to check the transits because a necklace fell off of me somehow. I must not have put it on correctly. But now looking at the astrological transits, we currently have Mercury and Venus in Leo and Mars in Libra. So Mercury and Venus in Leo are still holding strong to the big heart of the collective, the need to be felt in the world, the need to be seen, but more so felt than anything else, and to shine that light of feeling. And Sun has already moved through there. It's already moving into Virgo. Mars is way ahead, now being midway through Libra, where it's worried about more social matters, but is not necessarily even finding any decision with anything until Mars moves into Scorpio in the latter part of September. Jupiter continues in Cancer, having moved past gate 15, the gate of extremes. Jupiter is now in gate 53, the gate of new beginnings. And so we're reassessing those new beginnings, and you see Jupiter's in gate 53, line 3. So trial and error is one of the major themes now. You know, will this work? Is that working? Is it not working? Should we go back to the beginning? Should we do this differently? Else can we do it? And there's a lot of constraints and limitations being imposed on us from all quarters. And it's happening in such a way that it's just so easy to see conflict, great conflict ahead. I mean, the farmers being pushed out, lands being taken over, property being bought, Bitcoin being bought. It seems like the deletes are closing in on purchasing total control. And yet we have this counter theme of Regulus having moved into Virgo, the sign of the Virgin, the sign of the day-to-day life. In a sense, the sign of people. And so we do have this fall of the Dark Fathers, as a well-known astrologer noted a couple years ago in his essay. And we have the fall of the Dark Fathers in the shining space of the line of Leo, moving away. Regulus is no longer in the sign of Leo. And so it's moving forward and it's now in Virgo. And this changes the game. And so my buddy Gary, who has his channel, Alternative Interactions, been talking about this with his allies about how the power, as tired as that phrase is, of course, but that the power is transferring to the people. In what way and how this manifests, we'll observe and see. Because when we step back and look at it from a totalizing view, and we step back and look at all the trees in the forest, it does seem like there is a mist slowly taking over the forest of being, the forest of this realm. And it's like slowly encroaching amorphously and seeming to take over in a haze so that we cannot see the trees clearly, the trees of life, the trees which are rooted in the ground and ground us, for they're a part of us. And yet, this is part of the thematic. How will this unfold? We know we're in the Aries vortex. We know there's a huge transition. It with Neptune and Saturn every so many years that they visit together a sign, it's been analyzed that either it's a new inception of some type of system of control or an ending of a system of control. And in this juncture where we're at, certainly we're all aware that there is a digital surveillance grid being implemented. Really, it has been implemented for a long time because we're all a part of it, using digital means to transact. And yet, what we're looking at is a possible by 2026 sometime when the Aries vortex kind of perfects into Aries permanently. Well, not permanently, but no longer retracting back into Pisces next year, next spring, around February, March. And this means ultimately that something is being solidified. Saturn is solidifying the vision of Neptune. No matter how deceptive that vision may be, is the question. This digital surveillance grid looks like a new form of control system, just like that comes around every time Neptune and Saturn get together. So we'll see. We have the power here of Regulus in early Virgo, and we have this new moon for a new purification of beingness at this time. Our daily rituals need to be revamped and reassessed and reset because that's what builds the day. I mean, the true understanding of life is that gradual awareness, that's the key. That's the key to life. Gradual transformations, not sudden transformations. We do have Uranus making sudden shifts and changes here and there, but life really is a step-by-step procedure. That's why we have the day and the night, and our minds cannot contain the day, so we can surf on a flow of reality if we're able to institute in ourselves, in homage to Saturn, daily habits that serve our growth and our highest good and our health. And that essentially is the key to working with the present energies. We have our visions, Neptune, and we're not even necessarily really clear on the vision in contradiction to reality. Saturn, the day-to-day reality that we're building. And then with Pluto and Uranus finishing up the vortex with sextiles on each side, we have the destruction of anything that's not authentic. Pluto in Aquarius coming in. And on the other side, we have Uranus and Gemini, giving us this simultaneous awareness, a simultaneous awareness of mind, a precognition of the future. And this is where we're at right now. But for us on the day to day, as we live, the cycle begins now. Revamp your health habits, maybe create a low oxalate diet, maybe eliminate sweets for a month. This is the time of Virgo. It's a time of purification. It's a good time to clean things up, clean your diet up, clean your thoughts up, clean your patterns up, clean your habits, and then build daily, day by day, your highest will. Virgo is a time of magic because it's the time of being able to have the ability to concentrate and focus on details. And details are very important in this realm. They're very important to Saturn, and we are in a Saturnian realm. And whatever it is, this is our power here at this time. As we move into August 28th, 29th, which is today and tomorrow, what we're doing is we're stepping into the power of will. And you could see here on this chart, we have the sun here in gate 40, and that's on this right-hand side of the ego, self, heart center. And it's actually exalted in the first line. And its opposite, its programming partner is going to be gate 37, line 1. And the gate, and that's the other side of it. So, and that's not always the case. So it's very interesting when you have channels that whose programming partner is the other side. And that means it activates a channel. And you see here we have the ego center fully activated. And it's connected to the solar plexus, which is a center that is growing in awareness to go beyond the mind, beyond mental awareness. It's a feeling awareness that is whose genetics are changing and shifting to 2027 and further, changing our expression of sexuality and beingness and emotions and emotional awareness and feeling awareness. And this active channel is about it's about the community. It's a tribal channel. It's communality. And in that, we are here to care for the community or not. All these gates are always dualities. The highest frequency will be expressed as a particular frequency that embraces communality and the evolution that occurs through us, through our genetics, through these bodies that we inhabit. On the other side of it, you have a force, a forcing of reality, a forcing of energy by will and will alone. But here in the highest frequency, I'm talking about the divine will, the energy that flows forth from life force itself. And so this particular channel, some of you may have the 40. Now the 40 is a Virgo gate, and it is about the will. It's about willpower. And the sun being active here, it's always going to define the other side if one has the sun here. And so it's the energetics. It's the full energetics and the contrast of what it is to force things in reality versus the ability to will things. So correct or incorrect use of these particular energies are going to be relative to whether we align with the energies of life or not. And so aligning with these forces, sorry, aligning with these energies encourages the natural vitality that flows into your expressions and actions in life. And the opposite force would be to force things, to get caught up in one's own space and to attempt to force realities, which inevitably causes self-destruction. And the question is, what are the sources of energy in a human being, in a human bioenergetic field? We do have an inherent vitality to us, which springs forth from feelings of joy, joy in what we're doing in our everyday life, joy and appreciation and gratitude and care. From that springs forth a natural vitality that coats our experience and furnishes with us the energy to live the day to day and to achieve our awarenesses and our growths through the day to day and our epiphanies as well. Another form of energy is extracted from our daily habits of eating food, getting sunlight, being in nature, being grounded in nature. These are all ways, there's no excuse that people can make about not attempting to be in alignment with the energy of the natural laws of the verse. You can be in alignment with nature, with the trees, with the vibrations in the fields, the bioenergetic fields of trees and plants and flowers. Or we can ignore the life force of life that is around us in nature. And we can attempt to deplete our own forces by pushing things, overdoing things, staying up later than one should, drinking coffee in order to artificially extend our awareness, which actually depletes our awareness ultimately, because what are we running on? We're running on nothing. We're running on something that's attempting to overstimulate our nervous system so that it can continue to do this or do that. That's not life force. That's not life essence. As humans, we have this great willpower, this great faculty to will. And willpower used incorrectly is force. And willpower used correctly is the natural life flow, the natural energy of life. And so essentially it's this is the duality here is very black and white. It's very obvious, it's very clear. Either we force things through our willpower without the adequate support of others, our friends, our community, the natural world, and we eventually lose strength and lose energy and meet depletion. Or we flow with life and we allow the energy to flow where it does based on our own care and appreciation and gratitude for the forces of natural life flow energy that come in when we least expect it, when we don't plan it, that come in when they do. And the best examples of this is finding the flow of everyday life, catching higher and higher frequency versions of timelines where you run into this person, oh, you run into this situation, oh, you get to do that. And the joy just increases with the day. Because ultimately the issue with wrong use of this particular gate is exhausting oneself. And the higher frequency expression is to find resolve, find resolve in life with what you're doing. And so there's several themes that come up with this particular gate. One of them is power, control, driving other people under one person's will to to perhaps enslave others, not just lead them, but enslave them, control them. And this is one aspect of this particular Gate becoming lost in ambitions and addictions to work, and thus draining oneself as well as others. Whereas the opposite would be harmoniously supporting work environments that people can flow and people appreciate being there. The energy's light, the energy flows, and there's enough energy to go around and support everyone who works there. No, the other major theme here is loneliness and isolation. And isolation is a very disturbing frequency. It's a very difficult frequency. But isolation need not be something difficult in the sense of something that we suffer. Because once we let go of suffering from loneliness or isolation, then we're alone, then we're all one. And I know that sounds rather, you know, clever, but what I'm talking about here is the joy in beingness. And this is a little deeper. This goes into the mystical kind of expression that this gate can have, which is the acceptance of ultimate aloneness and mysticism in its highest expression, which it denies everything, even the self, and rather allows for life force to just come through and express the beingness of reality. And of course, when that occurs, you're probably not there, no one's there, because it's the energy moving forth through you, with you, perhaps overtaking your own awareness through a kind of feeling awareness. Because ultimately, isolation itself can lead to deeper levels and layers of separation from others. And it's not natural for humans to be isolated and alone, although it happens. And it can happen in either extreme of the frequency. At the same time, it is very natural for humans to be alone and to be in flow in their aloneness, in their all oneness. I mean, that's the story of the mystics in the caves. Beings that transcend normal states of awareness and can open up and allow the heart to open and the will of the verse to shine forth. This is the divine will that's being spoke of here that Rudd talks about. And it's about allowance. It's about giving up the power of the ego to control and allowing life to come forth and that will to come forth and express itself through the heart, through flow of energy and not force of energy. Now, the way this looks in the gradual levels of development of frequency with this particular gate is there's a moving away from isolation or being, what's the other word I used here? Loneliness or isolation. There's a moving on from that eventually to a space of resolve. And that means that one has allowed oneself to be comfortable with beingness and to let go of the need to meet social or to attempt to control one's social environment, but just to allow the energy flow where it does. And that means having boundaries, and that means respecting other people's boundaries. And that means also being in care and awareness of how your boundaries affect others and how their boundaries affect you. And yet, you're the only one who can live in your body. There's no one else that can live there. And so we all need healthy boundaries. We all need time to be alone. We all need time to connect. We need both. And we all do the best to have the best balance we can between all the different types of bodies and expressions of awareness, of the mind, of the heart, of beingness, and our consciousness. And so we're always negotiating the best balance, capital B balance that we can create in our life, having connection, but also having boundaries and time to be alone when we need to. And also, just as many of us are able to care for others, to also learn to care for ourselves and to give ourselves time to rest. And also not just to rest, but also to have deep, deep relaxation so that the subtle body can awaken and itself be charged to clear and to feel and to exist and to be aware. And so this type of resolve starts to bring forth a new reality of expression of how we live on the day to day. All of a sudden, we're not working anymore. All of a sudden, we're just really in harmony with our environment and with ourselves because the energy is in flow. And that's life. That's the source of life, is the flow of energy through us. Ultimately, none of us really can control the energy that flows in life. It flows to where the highest frequencies of expression are, the appreciation and the gratitude for the beingness we have and this moment we have, and this very small period of time that we have here. And remembering that and reminding others of the care we have for them and the importance of each moment that we spend with others. If one can reach in and develop and feel through the pain and the suffering of traumas and sit with with that pain and suffering and let oneself feel it out, as usual, as the cliche is, like deep in like the underworld of hell, there's these dark spaces of shadow that need light too. And where there are things that grow, like the mineral kingdom, crystals and gems. And those crystals and gems are metaphors for inner awareness that grows from feeling into our shadows and giving those shadow parts of ourselves light to express themselves and to release. And in its place, we're left with epiphanies and gems of awareness. And this strengthens the bioenergetic field in its apprehension of life and its experience of life. There's a great value in aloneness and experiencing the self in spaces that are also alone. This is why man seeks nature, seeks the natural world desperately, as it slowly seems to disappear in our realm. Every day cutting away at what's natural, what was natural. For now, it seems the agenda is to create spaces that are unnatural. And it seems it's easy that many humans are accepting that these unnatural spaces are somehow natural for humans. But this is our experience, this mix of iron and clay, as the Bible analogies and adjectives like to use, or metaphors for flesh and machine. And so this is what it is. This is gate 40 for the next 4 or 5 days. We'll experience this need to be all one with ourselves. And we may even suffer tension in our bodies if we don't get it. It's a fascinating thing. There are particular gates in the human design, or if you meditate on them, you can release the trauma in your body. And by releasing that trauma, you transmute the genetics, you transmit the shadow. And the physical body becomes lighter, and there's less pain, and there's more flow in the body, and there's more awareness, and there's more of a simultaneous or neutral awareness or balanced awareness, where one is begins to impersonalize the experience of being in a body. Because to personalize it is to also I mean, we have to a large degree, but to over personalize it is to fall into the traps of the victimhood cycle, the victim or victimizer, or both, or switching roles. The realization of the highest frequency of this gate being divine expression of heart, mind, and will, feeling into the higher self as it expresses itself through the subtle bodies. This is an awareness that becomes space of allowance. And this helps us to move beyond black and white dualities, which are constantly being programmed into us over and over and over again. So we're always taking a side, siding this way or that way, running sideways on reality. And that's not what it is. What it is, Gate 40, that's about the divine will, which transcends individual will. What is correct for the collective? What part do I play in the expression of the collective power of man? And I hope it's not burning man. But this is what it is, and this is where we're at. And moving past such hypocrisies and rituals of ending man, making humans obsolescence with these machines, moving beyond that. That stuff is easy to fall away if we don't feed it. Or shall I say overfeed it? There's nothing wrong with working with these energies. It's a part of our experience right now. But just as the Gate 40 teaches us to create boundaries, it is important that we utilize it not as a substitute for our own minds, because it'll end up destroying our own minds and our own will, weakening it. Because if we become over dependent on these technologies, then the muscles of our awareness will weaken as well. And we will lose all that we have gained in all our many years of evolution. And that's the challenge, to set boundaries for the self, to set these daily rituals so that we commit the correct amount of time to this or that, to supporting the light of human awareness, the divine awareness that happens through us and through our natural manifestations, as well as these technological traps and Skynet artifacts of seeming control. So hope this was helpful to you all, and I'll leave it at that for this week. Maybe some other quick notes. Or just a recap, we have the Gate 40 active, creating this channel, the 4037 channel community. And so community will be very important these next 4 days. But ironically, many will seek to be in their own space with community. And it's not a contradiction and it's not a negation. One is never alone. You see all these open centers? You're processing, and anywhere where you have an open center, you're processing the collective. So we're never alone, unless you're an MG who has every single center defined. But then they're experiencing it through the open gates, the open portals of the gates. So I'll leave you guys with that. Hope you enjoyed. I'll see you probably on Monday. Tula and I are going to do a part two to our recent talk about the sun and the life force and how to use sun energy and how it reciprocally connects with the life force above us and strengthens the real sun that is above us, which seems to be weakening. We'll be doing the moon and talking, going deep into the secrets of the moon and its also meaning as the deepest heart and mind in our collective, in our individuated instinct in our bodies. As many of you know, the moon sign's really, really important in Joy-Tish. Everything is determined almost by the moon sign. And in Western astrology, the moon signifies the deepest heart. And in its expression, we have our instinct where we come from, the baby inside of us, our emotional nature. And that's what we'll be presenting on Monday. Monday or Tuesday, it'll come out. And that should be fun. And then in September, Gary and I are going to get together with Kuba, our buddy who does the I Ching, and Gary's channel is Alternative Interactions, and we're going to do a big show on some recent I Chings that Kuba did for the fall equinox, looking at different expressions of the transiting money system, um, not just the dollar, but gold and silver and the ISO 222 coins, as well as Bitcoin, and to get a hit on how things will be unfolding this fall in this economic transition we seem to be going through. And that'll be, I think, September 5th, so watch out for that one. And again, thanks so much for watching. Feel free to subscribe and feel free to share. If you enjoyed this, share it with one other person who hasn't seen this before. Maybe they can enjoy it too. And you guys take care.